So the reason I decided to make matzo ball soup, which I've never made before, was because I cooked a whole chicken in the crock pot recently, and at the end I had all these drippings, and so I decided to save them because I figured I might be able to use it for something else. And after it was in the fridge for a little bit, I noticed that there was a pretty thick layer of chicken fat that had floated to the top of the drippings. So I kind of looked around at what you can do with that, and saw a suggestion that you could make matzo balls. I guess that's a traditional thing to do with it. And the chicken fat, of course, is called schmaltz. So I decided to try it. And of course, at the same time, I didn't have any matzo meal, so I decided to try using saltine crackers instead because I figured they were similar. So this here is the rest of the chicken drippings. I wouldn't really call it broth. It was really thick, like jelly almost. And you can see on the top is a little bit of that chicken fat was left over. That's where I sort of skimmed that off of. And so I started with saltine crackers, as you see here. Just put them in a Ziploc bag and crushed them up. I used about 20 crackers at first, and that made almost a cup. So to get everything mixed, I put the chicken fat in a bowl, added the saltines, added 3 eggs, and then that's what the mixture looks like. But I thought it was a little too thin. I read that the mixture's supposed to seem kind of thin anyway, but it just still seemed a little too thin for me, so I crushed up 6 more crackers and added that. And then here's what it looks like after that. I went ahead and covered it at this point and put the whole thing in the fridge. I've read about that you can put it in there for about 30 minutes or even up to overnight. Mine was in there for about an hour and a half. So after I took it out, it had thickened pretty well. So I dipped some out with a spoon here, as you can see, and it doesn't even fall off the side of the spoon. So then I formed it into balls, which I put on the plate here. I got 8 of them. Started a pot of boiling water. Went ahead and dropped each one in with a spoon, and then covered it. Or I should say, that was boiling water. I covered it after I reduced the heat down to like a simmer, and then I let it cook for 40 minutes. So while that was cooking, I went ahead and poured this heated up chicken drippings into a pan to get started on the soup. And you can see here, even though I heated it up in the microwave, some of it still has that jelly consistency that melted down pretty quickly when I got the heat on. Then I just started adding some water to that to make a broth. Add some onions as well, as you can see here. Put in some salt as well. And that's essentially how I made the broth. That's all there was to it. I just heated it up during most of the time that the matzo balls were cooking. So here's what they look like when they're done. They started off around golf ball size, and at this point they swell up pretty big. They're probably closer to like a tennis ball size when they're done. And then here's just a video of using a slotted spoon to take those out of the water and go ahead and put it in a bowl. Wasn't easy enough. And just came over to the broth and dipped some out. And that's pretty much my version of matzo ball soup. Turned out to be pretty nice. Is what it looks like, the finished product. I thought it was really good. I've had matzo ball soup a couple times in my life, maybe 3 or 4 times. Um, and it seemed pretty similar to what I had at restaurants. So it works with saltines. I was satisfied with it. Have a good day, y'all.